Hey, it's the right weekend, and hope you guys had a good weekend. I had a long weekend, and not in the good sense, but it is what it is. and I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. It's Monday. If you're watching this, whatever day, but this is a Monday, the beginning of the week, and it's going to be a long week for me. I'm going to try to see if I could record a couple of videos um, ahead of time. So if I'm talking about something and I release it, I'm just going to record videos and just release them day of. With that being said, I'm going to have some serious videos later on in the week. Not necessarily politically, not in topics of politics, but important nonetheless. So on with the show. Let's go with. I think this is an important story that probably is not going to get a lot of mainstream media coverage. One, because it's from Project Veritas, and it's something that and the other thing the media tries to pretend they try to they gaslight us with is that critical race theory indoctrination is not going on. But here's this guy, was it David Johnson, I believe his name is. David Johnson. So he recorded a video and he released it with Project Veritas. I'm not going to go into everything he talks about. I want to play this little clip because this is the really disturbing part that people should be aware of what's going on. I mean, the ridiculous stuff they're teaching. So here it goes. Well, you can see here, it's going to start off by 3 to 6 months, babies are beginning to notice and.
By 3 to 6 months, babies are beginning to notice and already express preference by race. By age 3, children are already starting to apply stereotypes. They also may use racist language intentionally at this age.
This is.
I think this is ridiculous. I have a 4-year-old, and I mean, let me see if they say any more in this one.
Babies are beginning to notice and already express preference by race. There was research that looked at how by 6 months, infants living in a homogenous or same race neighborhood showed preferences for faces from their own racial groups, whereas infants living in more racially diverse environments did not show that same preference for their own racial group. And this is really important because we see that early exposure to different races is impacting these preferences before babies are even 1 year old. Children as young as 2 are already using race to reason about people's behaviors, and we may see this play out in daycare or on the playground in how kids are starting to choose or exclude playmates and friends.
By 2 years old.
I have a 4-year-old, and this really annoys me because my little girl will go to the park. She'll play with whoever. She'll go to any kid and go, do you want to play with me? And they go, if they say yes, she grabs them by the hand and goes, let's go play. And it doesn't matter if they're black, white, Spanish. It doesn't make a difference to her. She doesn't care. She just sees another kid. Where do people, not that, I'm not saying that kids don't notice differences, because I remember a story with one of my nephews, and he's half Haitian, half Dominican, half Puerto Rican, and quarter Haitian, quarter Dominican, half Puerto Rican. There you go. But he's not light skinned himself. And I remember him talking to his father in an elevator when he was little and going, Dad, why is he why is he black? And it's like, you notice the difference, but there's no maliciousness when it comes to children. They're just asking a question. And here you have adults putting ulterior motives to children, giving it motives that they don't put into it, that they're projecting onto these children. And I think that's the huge, um, I think that should be the huge take from this story, is the fact that these people are that this is not. I think this is not that Hasbro's doing it, but Hasbro had someone coming in to do a teaching on critical race theory or diversity. Their whole thing is diversity and inclusion training. This here talking about 2-year-olds and um, their preference with race. Look, listen, I lived in the Dallas area for a few years, and it just happens. People have the affinity to live next to people who are like them. So, there's Indian neighborhoods, there's, Korean, Japanese, Chinese neighborhoods, Spanish neighborhoods. Even the Spanish neighborhoods might be broken down to, there's a couple of Mexican neighbors, a couple of, Costa Rican, Puerto Rican, Dominican neighbors. People like to be next to people they share attributes with. But to make it that has to be something that's negative connotation to it, it doesn't. Now if you go, well, I live with Puerto Ricans because we're better than everybody else. Well, that's now that's a different story. And before my words get misconstrued, I don't live next to any Puerto Ricans. I think my immediate neighbors are they're pretty much all white, so I can't tell you. I didn't, we don't live too close to each other as the neighbors, so we really don't speak like that. That's the good thing about living in a rural area. So yeah, so it's really disgusting what these people do and projecting their what they want onto what the children's motivations are, because that's what it is. It's what they're trying to imply. And this is stuff that's going on, like I said, with the nefariousness of critical race theory, and it also goes with the whole new transgender movement. I'm going to show you some, I'm going to show you this too here. I found this hilarious. Found this on Wikipedia. It just shows you the what's the left leaning bias of Wikipedia. Like I've shared an article before about the co-founder, but I want to talk about here. California appeals court overturns anti-misgendering law on First Amendment grounds, which is great. Look, listen, hate speech is free speech. I don't care what the people say. Okay, you hate me because I'm Puerto Rican. I don't care. I've been on social media platforms where people are, they told me go back to my own country, and it's like, you freaking idiots. I am in my own country. The U.S. Puerto Rico is part of the U.S. So do I want them to be banned? Do I want them to be kicked off the platform? No, I would like them to be educated, but there's so much they have so much indoctrination with their beliefs that it's hard to get through. Don't with some of them I block myself because I'm not gonna I don't want to I'm not gonna subject myself to that sort of language. But at the same time, the only way to get them to open their eyes is to show them how we don't have to be different. The only thing that you're doing is you're espousing this white supremacy nonsense. And the same thing, that's why I attack BLM, and not only because it's Marxist, but because it's just reverse white supremacy. It's just wanting to push a black supremacy in most in usually. I don't want to say all the time, but usually. That's why you have as much, the backlash to BLM is an increase in white supremacists or white nationalist activities. But then you also have, like, a couple of weeks ago, you had the Nation of the Moors or something like that closed I-95 in Massachusetts. But yeah, so I mean, this is the whole thing. When you look at here, um, a New York human rights law. These are other. I mean, this is a good ruling by the appeals court in California. Hopefully, hopefully they appeal and it'll go to the Supreme Court so we could get some of these laws taken down. Like here, New York human rights law banning gender identity discrimination imposes fines up to $250,000. Maybe by getting a ruling like that with the Supreme Court, maybe like, it goes to your social media giant Twitter bans users for misgendering or dead naming transgender people. And, this is stuff that you don't have to like what people are saying. And if you're a public figure, like you're someone like Caitlyn Jenner, you have to understand if you're there on social media, you're going to get shit. And if you're on social media, not even you're a famous person, you're going to get crap. You got to deal with it. It's part of being in an open, free society. You're going to get, idiots, and you got to deal with it. So, what was I talking about? Why did I link this with that? Obviously, because it's about the misgendering and transgender law. But I found this funny because I was trying to show how critical theory is just, you see the offshoots in critical race theory, you see it with queer theory, you see it with gender theory. It's all, it's all interconnected. But I found this funny when it goes here. They call this the anti-gender movement, which is Orwellian in itself. And it goes here, it's an international movement which opposes what it refers to as gender ideology, then gender theory, genderism. These concepts do not have a coherent definition, and a cover variety of it blah, 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 been described as an empty signifier or catch-all term for all that conservative Catholics despise. The movement derives from Catholic ideology beginning in the 1990s, but the protests which brought the movement to attention did not start until 2013. It includes opposition to same-sex marriage and transgender rights. This is the whole thing. When people are, the whole thing about being against transgender rights, there's nobody trying to take away transgender rights. Okay. It's transgender people who are trying to push, let's say, the main thing is, especially when it's male to female transgender, once you do that male to transgender, male to female transgender, you cannot participate in female sports. That's it. If this is the big thing for me, and it still doesn't make a difference even after you have the surgery. But if you haven't done the surgery yet, then you're not yet, you could identify as a woman, but you're not fully woman yet. You still have gonads that are producing male testosterone, even if you're, because let's say you're taking your estrogen or your female hormones, you could, if you don't keep them, let's say if you don't keep doing those hormones, your male hormones are going to kick in. So you could be training to be in a woman's event. You don't even have to take steroids. You just got to stop taking your female hormones for a couple of days, and you're going to start getting an advantage because the testosterone is going to help you in sports. That's just it. But they make it anyone who's against transgender females participating in sports with biological females, they want to say you're anti-trans or you're transphobic. And especially for me, that's far from the truth. I think, people want to live their lives like that. That's fine. But you can't push people. It's like saying, I remember saying, oh, if you don't want to date a transgender female, then you're transphobic because you're afraid of female penises. Like, a female does not have a penis. A female has a vagina. So, the way they try to twist language and stuff to fit their ideology, so that's why I find this here. It's like talking about they link it to conspiracy theories, and it's like, and that the fact they call it anti-gender movement, it's like, no, the people that are doing the anti-gender movement are the people who are trying to push that, there's no differences between the sexes when, I mean, it's biological throughout, it's in our biology, it's in our chromosomes. Even a person who may identify as a woman biologically, they're not. Their genes in their body will, you do a test, it's going to come out XY. They're going to still be, so no matter how much surgery and no matter how much they get done biologically, they're still going to be a man. No matter how much, no matter augmentations, and even when they have the surgery, they're still going to be XY. And that's, there's nothing transphobic by actually talking about a biological reality. And well, that's what I'm going to say about that. So, uh, it's gonna be a long week for me. I have a lot of stuff going on, but the show must go on, and that's it. I'll leave it there. Let's see how anything interesting comes out. I'll record anything later on during the day, or but hope you guys. Let me actually close this out. Hope you guys like I said, hope you guys had a good weekend. Hope you guys have a good week. And I'm the Ryrican. I post these on YouTube and Rumble, and I am also on social media. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Gab. I'm also on Telegram and the new Getter, and all these other ones you could find me. I just don't really post on those. The main ones I post is Facebook, Twitter, and Gab, and Telegram. All right. That being said, have a good one, everyone.